Hey guys, Cece back with another video, and for today's video we are going to talk about 5 of my favorite interview tips to land you the job. So if it's your first time watching me or my channel, just make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button. Also make sure you go ahead and click the little notification bell right next to the subscribe button so you can always be notified of all of my future videos because you never want to miss a single upload. You also want to make sure you're following me on Instagram at Heeeeeyyy and also subscribe to my family vlog channel right here on YouTube at Bradley Party of 6. So for today's video, I am hoping that I am helping somebody out, okay? These are gonna be 5 of my best interview tips to help you land that job you've been trying to get. I thought this video was right on time, seeing as how that we are still in the middle of a pandemic and many people might need these tips. So if you know someone else who may need these tips, maybe you don't need them, but someone else does, please feel free to share this video and pass the information along. So I do have lots of experience in interviewing. For those of you who don't know my background, I will link a couple videos down below that'll give you just my background and what my experience is and what makes me an expert in this field. Interviewing is something that I have done a lot of in my life, and I'm sitting on both sides of the table, actually interviewing other people for positions or myself interviewing for positions. So I have a great deal of experience on both sides, and I really know what it takes to land that job. So that being said, let's start with tip number 1. Practice, practice, practice. Well, Cece, how do you practice interviewing? Easy, okay, easy. Every single interview asks you pretty much a series of the same questions. They may be stated in a different form and you just need to know how to recognize them. What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? What can you bring to the table for this position that's different from other candidates that I may be interviewing? Tell me about yourself. Those type of questions will come up in every single interview in some form. So having those basic general interview questions already answered and practiced in your head will help you recognize them when you hear them and then also have an answer to give. Now, when I say practice, you don't want to make a script. You don't want to make it seem rehearsed or something where you just sound like a robot. That's not what I'm saying, but you want to make sure you have your general answer for that question. Not to mention when the question comes up, it may be stated in a different form. You may have to add something to the answer. You may have to take away. But if you have the meat of the answer already formulated and practiced in your head, even if you just have the situation that you're going to talk about in your head for that particular question, it'll make formulating an answer so much easier. Practice. Practice with your spouse, practice with your kids, practice in the mirror, practice with a friend. Just practice verbalizing your thoughts so that you are not a complete wreck when you get into an interview. Most of the time when we go into an interview, sometimes we're nervous and your thoughts can escape you, but if you've practiced enough, I guarantee you that those answers will be permanently ingrained in your head. Let's go to tip number 2. Actually answering their questions. I get this all the time where I will ask a question in an interview, someone will start to answer, and then they'll go off on a tangent and start talking about something totally different. And you like, bruh, I didn't even ask you that question. Like, where's the answer to the question that I asked you? You have to remember to keep your answers concise and stay on track answering the actual asked question. Now, I've been in interviews and I've been in maybe panel interviews where we'll ask a question and someone will go off on a tangent, and sometimes you can get the interviewer to go with you and they're like, oh, okay, and forget their own question that they asked. But for a skilled interviewer, they're gonna circle back and say, yeah, that's great, but can you answer the question? Or they're just gonna say, okay, and skip over it, just thinking, okay, you didn't want to answer that question, or you didn't answer the question and I'm not gonna repeat myself. So you have to be very careful in those scenarios. Listen to the question in its entirety and answer the question in its entirety. If you want to add some different examples, then that's fine as long as they're relevant, but just make sure you are fully answering the question in front of you. Tip number 3, look at the job description and demonstrate those behaviors in your answers. So the job description may say something like, must have a working knowledge of Microsoft products such as Excel, must be able to demonstrate working knowledge in this program or that program. In your answers that you're going to give to your questions, make sure you are adding those things in. So maybe they're going to ask you what's your greatest strength in some form. One of the strengths that you can make sure that you add in is that you have a demonstrated knowledge of Microsoft Excel. And this will answer the question as well as check off another thing on their list that they need for you to have. So look at the job description, study it, pull out keywords and key attributes that they're looking for, and make sure that those are weaved into your question answers. Tip number 4 is to watch your energy levels. Try to match the energy level of your interviewer. So you don't want to have too low of energy, because then you just look like you don't care and you don't really want to be there. And then you don't want to have too high of an energy level, because that just sometimes comes off as kind of kooky. You know what I'm saying? So you want to make sure you're matching the levels of your interviewer. If they're in an excited tone and talking in an excited tone and looking excited about the job, you want to make sure you offer a smile and you also look excited about the position. If they are more of a monotone interviewer, not saying you take your tone all the way down to monotone, however, being overly excited and overly energetic just may be too much for them. So you want to kind of watch that and match the energy level of who is asking you the questions and who's going to get you the job. My 5th and final tip is to ask good questions. We hear this all the time, but sometimes it's hard to determine what type of questions to answer. As an interviewer, I like to know that the person on the other side of the table is also interviewing me. I want the job to be a good fit for them as well as a good fit for me. Because if I'm the only person that thinks the job is a good fit, when they are in the job 4 to 6 months down the road, they are going to determine that this is not the job for them, that they made a mistake, and they're going to be out the door, and you're going to be back in front of other candidates interviewing way too soon. So you want to make sure that they are also taking the job interview process seriously and asking you questions. So I look for people to ask me questions about culture and work-life balance and questions like that that let me know that they're thinking about working for us long term. Now, if I'm interviewing someone for IT, I leave the technical interviewing up to the IT department. I know nothing about IT, so me asking those questions or you asking me those questions just don't make sense. Now, in my situation, I'm the HR partner on the interview panel. So I leave all the technical questions about the intricacies of the job for the department. So if I'm interviewing someone for IT, you don't want to ask the HR person intricate questions about what type of IT programs or anything like that, or any intricate questions like that, because they're just not going to have the answer. So when I'm asking questions and I'm receiving questions from the interviewee, I'm looking for questions about culture of the company and work-life balance and questions about the employee that are going to benefit the employee. I want to see that you are looking long-term with working with us, and this isn't just something that you're going to be here for 6 months and be out the door. If you don't have any questions for me, I'm assuming that you're not really taking the job interview process too seriously. How can you be thinking about uprooting your employment? This is somewhere that you are going to spend the majority of your waking hours doing this work and at this company. How can you be thinking about doing that without having any question? It's just one. Any question at all. You mean to tell me you can't think of one? I don't feel like that you thought the process through. So that is it for this video, you guys. Those are 5 interview tips that are sure to land you the job. If you want a part 2 of this, make sure you let me know down below, and I certainly have more and can certainly do a part 2. I can also do an interview don'ts if you're interested as well. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye guys.